Good morning, fifth grade online learners. Welcome to March 30th, 2021, fifth grade science with me, Mr. Monzo, and we have Mr. Giovannides' class here today. They're a little bit sluggish today, but we did get some people that are going to come up and read from their journals. But first, I want to talk a little bit about what the website's about. So I'm going to go over to that website real quick, and it's called Electric Power Distribution for Facts. This is from Google Classroom. Electric power distribution is the delivery system of electricity to places that use it, such as homes and other buildings. It is done mainly by power lines, transformers, substations, and meters. The electricity comes from the power station at high voltage and is delivered at medium to low voltage levels. In the early days, electricity was distributed as direct current, DC. Alternating current, AC, was later introduced during the War of Currents. DC distribution disappeared because transformers can easily convert AC, high voltage, for electric power transmission and low voltage to use at home. History. Electric power distribution only became necessary in the 1880s when electricity started being generated at power stations. Before that, electricity was usually generated where it was used. The first power distribution system installed in European and U.S. cities were used to supply lighting, arc lighting running on very high voltage, around 3,000 volts, and AC or DC, and incandescent lighting running on low voltage, 100 volt direct current. Both were supplanting gas lighting systems and arc lighting taking over a large area of street lighting and incandescent lighting replacing gas for business and residential lighting. Due to the high voltages used in arc lighting, a single generating station could supply a long string of lights, up to 7-mile long circuits. Each doubling the voltage would allow the same size cable to transmit the same amount of power for 4 times the distance. So guys, this still goes on across the United States. And the next section talks about introducing the transformer, because transmitting electricity a long distance at high voltage and then reducing it to a lower voltage for lighting became recognized as an engineering roadblock. So we started making transformers that allowed AC voltage to be stepped up to a much higher transmission and dropped down for user voltage. And we had the War of Currents when Thomas Edison started attacking George Westinghouse and his development of the first U.S. AC transformer systems. Okay, so there was a little battle going on here over which was a better system. Okay, and this happened right in our area. George Westinghouse built plants in Trafford, in Wilmerding, in East Pittsburgh. So this is very much a part of the history of our valley of general transmission and distribution of power. And the article goes on to talk about this and how they distribute power and where it comes from. Some of it's green sources like windmills and rivers and dams. Other is burning fossil fuels. And it talks about the network configurations, getting power to the rural and farm areas, and then secondary distribution and how that works, and regional variations, because sometimes we need more voltage, 220, 240 systems, 110, 120 systems. Okay, so this is very informative, guys. It's a very scientific, very technical, but it's broken down for you guys to understand at a kid's level. And my next door neighbor works in power distribution for Allegheny Power. So if there's a power outage, he will get you power again. He will detect the problem. He can do this from his living room now because of the COVID. He has to work at home. He can log into computers at work, find out where the problem is, and send somebody out there to fix it for you. And power distribution in the United States is called the grid. And the grid is all over the United States. And, without the grid, we don't have the comforts of modern life, of electricity, lighting and heat and energy and everything that electricity does for us. So if you're interested in this, you may become an electrical engineer someday. very scientific, very mathematical, but if you like that stuff, this is right up your alley. And the more you go on in school and the more you like science and math and engineering, you ought to consider a job in electricity. It pays very well. Even the people that just fix the electricity, the ones that the engineers tell, hey, go out, here's where the problem is. Some of those people that climb the poles and fix the electricity make over $100,000 a year. And that's not even with going to college. Now you have to keep in mind it's a dangerous job. Electricity can be dangerous. But if you take all the safety precautions, you could work your whole life in the field fixing power distribution, getting energy back online and expanding our grid across the United States. Okay, so the first person up is Brooke Bauer, and from the article, from the website, she was able to summarize. So Brooke, come on up.
You have to be very careful when using electricity. We use electricity for many reasons. So one reason is we use it to light our homes and schools. We have power lines. Power lines transfer electricity and power to homes. Okay,
very good job, Brooke. Thank you for that brief summary of the website, 3 to 5 sentences. And next we have Piper. Piper, come on up.
Electromagnets are magnetic fields from electrical currents. The power is something like a drill. It can be controlled due to electromagnets. If we were to push harder on the trigger, the drill would go faster. If we were to push later, the drill would go slower.
Okay, very good. She talked a little bit about power distribution in her summary. And next we have Eli coming up. So Eli, come on up. What's that? Okay, Eli's not done. I thought he was because we checked with him earlier. But Caleb, would you come up? You're next on our list to just give a brief summary of your website. Okay, then we're going to have Eli come up right after Caleb. He's just finishing up. So come on up, Caleb, and talk loudly and clearly. And look, make sure you can see yourself on the screen.
This website is about electric. Electric powers a lot of things. Every home needs electricity.
Okay, electricity powers a lot of things. That's what the website's about. And he said every building needs electricity. That is true, guys. I mean, you can have a cabin that doesn't have it, but it's not going to be very comfortable. You're not going to enjoy yourself if you're staying in a cabin with no power. I mean, they did it hundreds of years ago, but if we have this power and it's distributed throughout the United States, you should use it. Eli, come on up. Just read us what you have. You might not quite be done, but just tell us what you have so far.
It teaches me about electric.
Okay, so far Eli just says it teaches him about electric, and we're going to hope that he can expand upon that because we really thought he was done, but we still have some time left in class, and we need a 3 to 5 sentence summary. So every day that we do this summary, I'm going to see if I can get some volunteers up here and get some more knowledge from them because it's not all what I know. I did work for Westinghouse for Electric for 6 years. I worked with electrical engineers, mostly 200 of them. They were some of the smartest people that I ever met. And, you know, I don't know, I was just very impressed with how smart they were and how dedicated they were to keeping research on electricity up and getting power to our houses and our businesses. Okay, 5th grade online learners, we will see you tomorrow for another great day in science. Goodbye.